Jalen Hurts not ruled out yet? Should he play on Saturday against the Cowboys? It's a tough question. Sixers go for 6 in a row on this 7-game homestand tonight against Detroit. I had a conversation with a Raptors beat reporter yesterday. The Sixers shouldn't make a single trade and just roll with what they got. We're going to dive into that. It's interesting. It's got me thinking. And happy birthday, brother-in-law Patrick. Happy birthday, my man. Trending in the AM starts in 30 seconds.
Holding, gets around in front. Joel EMbiid intercepted.
And Philadelphia has it.
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on DSM Media, live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Like, share, retweet, follow on all social media platforms. Make sure you do me that favor. Hit that like button, that subscribe button. Turn notifications on the DSM Media YouTube page. I'd greatly appreciate that. We're live, like I said. We got lots to talk about today. Sixers and Eagles are on the agenda. I will say, breaking news this morning was, or last night, but was this morning for me, that the Mets got Carlos Correa. So we might dive into that a little bit as well. A little Phillies talk. If not, we'll dive into the Phillies tomorrow when we get a chance. But I got lots to talk about today. And I really want to get started with the question that I posed here. Should you play or shouldn't you play Jalen Hurts on Sunday? Now, Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, a lot of people spoke to the media yesterday. And we were all prepared. We spent literally 30, 40 minutes on yesterday's show. Good morning, Joe. Talking about Gardner Minshew, the importance of having a great backup and a great culture, that we just pretty much assumed Jalen Hurts was out. Sprained shoulder, give him the week off to rest and recover for the playoff stretch. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni spoke yesterday to the media, the WIP, and both of them were very, very honest that there's a chance that Jalen Hurts plays on Sunday. Like I said yesterday, we've heard that this injury can't get any worse. You can compensate, maybe hurt something else, but it's a pain tolerance injury. And we know Jalen Hurts is tougher than anybody. Jason Kelsey spoke yesterday and said he knew Hurts was hurting yesterday on Sunday. But then reminded everybody they still went on to throw for over 100 yards and rush for a touchdown after getting the injury. Because there's nobody mentally tougher in the NFL than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the real deal. The legit tough guy, leader, the guy that every team wants to be the leader of their team. You can question his passing ability, you can question the running ability. We're going to get into all that. But there is a legit chance that Jalen Hurts is capable of playing on Sunday. And I say is capable and not is playing. And the reason is, should he play? That's the question. We say he's the toughest guy. He's the ultimate team leader. Do whatever it takes to win kind of guy. And Nick Sirianni is playing into that, saying that he might be available to dress on Sunday. The question or the comment or the thought process is, should Nick Sirianni protect his quarterback? Should he just say right now, no, we're sitting you, Jalen. You're banged up. You're hurt. We got your back. If Jalen Hurts plays, we know he won't be 100%. Is that a problem that Nick Sirianni doesn't protect the player from himself? I think I have two thoughts on this. I want to see Jalen Hurts play. Greedy, selfish me. Play Saturday against the Cowboys. Lock up that division. Lock it all up. And then he's got the next 2 games off, and then the bye week. He's got 3 full weeks. He should be 100% ready to go. I just want to see Hurts beat the Cowboys. Deliver that great stocking of coal to the Cowboys fans by whooping up on them on Christmas Eve. National attention, big national game, division on the line. Just get it done. That's selfish me. But smart, realistic me says that this is exactly what you got Gardner Minshew for. This is the exact reason why Howie Roseman values the backup quarterback position so highly. He was taught by Joe Banner. Joe Banner always had great backup quarterbacks here in Philly. Hell, we had good backup quarterbacks back during the Randall Cunningham days. We've always had a really strong backup because we value it. We know the importance of it. So the question becomes, are we putting Jalen Hurts too much unnecessary risk by playing him on Sunday if they do decide? Because we still haven't gotten the official answer of whether they're doing it or not. We don't know. There's a chance they do. There's a chance they don't. Now, again, selfishly for my fantasy football team, I have Jalen Hurts. I picked up Gardner Minshew. I'm in the playoffs, Final Four here with a chance to win. I'm going up against the best team in the league. Yeah, I want Jalen Hurts to play. I want to put up another 30 points. I did pick up Gardner Minshew instead of some of the other names that were out there because I know you can plug and play in this system. Tom Brady was available in this fantasy football league, 12-man league. Tom Brady's had an up and down year. I chose Gardner Minshew over Tom Brady to be that option if Jalen Hurts doesn't play. It's not a knock on Tom Brady. Well, it's a knock that he's available in a fantasy football league. But it's not a knock on Tom Brady. It's just knowing that this system against this Cowboys defense, you can plug and play. Now, you go and you plug and play Ian Book, the third stringer, we might have a different conversation. But Gardner Minshew isn't Ian Book. He's not Jalen Hurts, but he's not Ian Book. Gardner Minshew's a guy that started and won football games in this NFL. He's a guy that came in last year when needed and performed well in this Eagles system. And he didn't have A.J. Brown. You're getting Dallas Goedert back this week. Also, getting Reed Blankenship back on the defense, which is a huge coup because, again, back, that's huge. We thought he was going to be gone for the year with that injury. Turned out to be a very short-term injury. He practiced in full yesterday, which is great news. Great news for the secondary. But Gardner Minshew did not have A.J. Brown last year. He's got A.J. Brown this year, along with Devontae Smith. And he's also got Dallas Goedert coming back from his injury. Last year when he went up against the Jets, Gardner Minshew, I believe, I don't have the box score up today, I think he had 6 catches, 2 touchdowns, 100 yards receiving. And that was without A.J. Brown on the outside. So to me, selfish me wants to see Jalen Hurts play. But smart me or realistic me knows the importance of probably giving Jalen Hurts the week off. Hell, don't even let him travel with the team. I know you're not going to get him to do that. The guy's sitting in on coaches' meetings. He's going to be there, whether he's up in a booth or on the sideline. We know he's going to be there. That's just the kind of leader he is. But no, this is the last time till we get to the Super Bowl, because we are getting to the Super Bowl still. This is the last time the Eagles will have to travel till the Super Bowl. Because in their last 2 games, Saints and Giants home, once they win one of these next 3 games, they've got the home field advantage locked up. So it means they're going to play all their home field games, all their playoff games at home till the Super Bowl. Give Jalen Hurts a full week of rest. Doesn't have to get on an airplane. Doesn't have to take a tackle, doesn't have to put pads on, whatever. Let him sit in on the meetings if he wants to. If he wants to do some film study, if he wants to coach Minshew up today at practice, sure. But don't put him on the plane. Just protect him from himself. I kind of feel like that's the smartest thing to do. Now, Gardner Minshew was not there at practice. What's the game plan this week? The game plan doesn't change, in my opinion. Whether it's Jalen Hurts, whether it's Gardner Minshew, whether it's Ian Book. Ian Book took all the first-team reps yesterday at practice. Gardner Minshew was at the Mike Leake Memorial Service. He was one of the speakers at it yesterday, and he was excused to go to it. Which, on a side note, we'll get to this game plan in a second, Joe. On a side note, how you phrase tweets is so important, whether you're a media member or a fan. And Jeff McClain yesterday, a lot of Eagles beat reporters were talking up that Gardner Minshew wasn't there, that he was at the Mike Leach funeral service. And they all were just reporting on it because it's news. It's something that needs to be reported on. But good old Jeff McClain, who I'm not one to call people clowns or bash people. I try not to get blocked by any of the journalists. I try to keep a good reputation. But I even couldn't hold back on this one. Tweet reads, and I quote, Gardner Minshew has been excused today to attend Mike Leach's funeral in Mississippi per the Eagles. So he won't participate in the team's walkthrough ahead of the Cowboys game, even though there is a strong chance he has to start. That is phrased so poorly. The way that is phrased is that he's skipping practice for some, bowling charity event. This is a man that was influential, one of the most important people in Gardner Minshew's life that passed away, and he's speaking at the funeral. And you're making it about the fact that he's skipping practice to do this. Sometimes life's more important than football, Jeff. And I again, I'm not one to call these guys out and bash them and say you're a clown or you're an idiot. When these guys, McClain, ESP, there's so many of these beat reporters, when they say things, people call them clowns and idiots and you're stupid. You don't know I don't get into that game. But you got to watch how you phrase things. Every tweet I tweet, I double check it before. Yeah, I might not catch every spelling error or autocorrect on it. But I make sure the wording of everything I put out there is appropriate. I want people to respect what I have to say, but I also don't want to embarrass myself by saying something offensive. And that was a bad tweet. That was a bad tweet. But anyway, back to this. What's the game plan? I think it doesn't matter. The game plan is going to be RPOs. The game plan is going to be to get the ball in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith's hands. And A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert's hands. Yeah, you might see more runs from Miles Sanders. He's not going to have 11 runs to Gardner Minshew's 17. Gardner Minshew will run the ball 3 or 4 times, maybe on an RPO. Yeah, Miles Sanders is looking at 20, 25 touches. And the game against the Jets last year, KC, when Gardner Minshew started, Gainwell had 14 rushes, I believe, 12 to 14 rushes, and Miles Sanders had, I think it was like 24, 25 rushes. We had about 35, 40 rushes to 25 passes from Gardner Minshew, which actually you say Miles Sanders 20. Gardner Minshew was 20 and 24, 25 passing the ball. So it's going to be the same game plan that we saw against the Jets, but that game plan we saw against the Jets is basically what we do on a given week anyway with Jalen Hurts. And I think you see these numbers from Miles and Gainwell regardless if Jalen Hurts plays or not. If they let Jalen Hurts play, which I'm still not sure they will, and I'm not sure they should, they're going to have to tell him off the throttle a little bit. Pump it off a little bit. We don't need you lowering your shoulder. You're not going to see the design runs between the left and right guards or tackles in between the line. You might see some outside runs or some scrambles. But if you're going to let him play, he better well protect himself And you better give Miles the ball 20, 25 times. But if he doesn't play, Gardner Minshew obviously isn't the running quarterback that Jalen is. He's mobile, but he's not a running quarterback. He can escape a sack and extend the play, but he's not going to rush the football. He's going to keep his eyes downfield, look down. I think the game plan changes minimally. No matter what happens, who plays, it's going to be the same. It's going to be get the ball into Miles, Brown, Goddard, Smith's hands. Zach Pascal, a random thing here, he's got a concussion. So he might not play on Saturday. I'd be curious to see who the fourth wide receiver is on this team on Saturday. Random thing. I don't even know. I mean, Britton Covey might get a few snaps, but do they call up Devin Allen from the practice squad? I don't know. The surrounding cast has to elevate their game a bit with Minshew. Grab a couple poorly thrown balls. Running back break tackles near the line of scrimmage. Yeah, I agree with that, but that's assuming that Gardner Minshew is going to have poorly thrown balls. Now, let's be honest, actually. I mean, what's Jalen Hurts? Somewhere around 68% completion percentage this year. Gardner Minshew's about a 61% completion for a career. He had a great game last year against the Jets where he was 20-25 starting for the Eagles. But that isn't typical Gardner Minshew. He's slinging that ball around and recklessly to an extent. So yeah, the wide receivers, but Gardner Minshew's never had an A.J. Brown. Gardner Minshew's never had an A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert combo. He's never had a Miles Sanders, a confident Miles Sanders. Because last year Miles Sanders was, don't know what point of the season that was, whether that was when he was still mentally, there was a stretch last year where he was, people were calling for his head. He's never had this kind of an offense, Gardner Minshew. So the reckless abandonment that he plays with might be able to be tempered a little bit. Something that, should help, that could help. I'm still stuck on the question of the show. Should they play Jalen Hurts? If he's 75 to 80%, and it's just a pain tolerance thing, and there's no ability for him to make the injury worse, should he play? And we talked about it yesterday, and it's been talked about on social media a bunch, about the running quarterbacks getting injured and stuff like that. My man Shane Half from the Painted Lines, he's been on the show a bunch of times. I'll get him on soon again. Brought up all the quarterbacks that have been injured this year. The mobile quarterbacks, Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson. Kyler Murray was a non-contact injury. Lamar Jackson was injured in the pocket. The other quarterbacks hurt this year, I mean, are they even mobile quarterbacks? I mean, Tua is kind of a mobile quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo, he's hurt, not mobile. Matthew Stafford, not mobile. Ryan Tannehill, I mean, he's kind of like that Gardner Minshew. He could scramble around in the pocket a little bit. He's not mobile. Carson Wentz isn't mobile anymore. Dak Prescott doesn't really run anymore. Jameis Winston, not a mobile quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater is a statue back there. So this theory that only mobile quarterbacks get hurt, come on. It's not the case. My question is, do you risk Jalen Hurts? Because, like I said, if you let him play, you kind of got to change the game plan to protect him a little bit. And you don't want to have to change who he is. And we talked about this yesterday. You don't want to change who Jalen Hurts is. You don't want to force him to be a pocket passer. If you change who he is, that changes who or the results. He is what he is as a quarterback, and he should stay that way. So I think I'm slowly convincing myself that no matter what Jalen Hurts tells Nick Sirianni this week, they should just protect their investment. Let's be honest. He is an investment. They're going to give him a big bag of cash this offseason. Big bag. He's going to be one of the top 3 paid quarterbacks in the NFL after this season. No doubt in my mind. He's going to get more than Lamar Jackson. He's going to get equal to more than Kyler Murray got. Josh Allen, honestly, is on a team-friendly deal at this point because he signed his deal 2 years ago. Jalen Hurts is going to get $250+ million. So you got to protect him. Sit him. Got to see what the backup has anyway on the team. You don't have to see what the backup has. I disagree with that. You know what the backup has. He's got the ability, Gardner Minshew, to win a game. Now, I don't think Gardner Minshew's a guy that you could have. See, and this is kind of part of why you sit him, Jalen Hurts. Gardner Minshew could win you one game. I'm not sure if Jalen Hurts played on Saturday and was compensating and hurt something else or made the injury worse, which I'm not sure if you can actually do that. And say Jalen Hurts is out for the year. I don't think you could get lightning in a bottle like you did with Nick Foles. Gardner Minshew's not going to go and win you 7 games or what divisional round champion 3, 4, 5, 6 games and win you a Super Bowl. So what you got to do is you got to sit him to protect Jalen Hurts because you know he's just going to want to play. And he's not, you could tell him, don't lower your shoulder. Don't run up the middle. Don't do this. Don't do that. You could tell him that. Now, they told Donovan and Michael Vick to slide for 10 years, and they never did. You can't change who these guys are. When you try to change them, then that's when they start making mistakes and playing poorly. So much happens. So you protect Jalen Hurts. You protect your investment. You protect your team. If you go and get Jalen Hurts injured on Saturday, worse than he is, or from overcompensating somewhere else, and he's gone for the year, that sends a bad message to your team. Like, you might lose some of the respect to some of the veterans. Jason Kelsey probably knows he wants Jalen Hurts out there, that Jalen Hurts is the leader, blah, blah, blah. But Jason Kelsey's probably going to be pissed off if the coach doesn't protect the quarterback. Yeah, got to give him some burn. Exactly. I mean, it can't hurt. Look, the NFL, there's been at least 10 starting quarterbacks injured this year. Only 30 teams. Quarterbacks get hurt. It's part of the process of an NFL season. There's no avoiding quarterback injuries in the NFL anymore. That's why the backup is so important. Now, you hope it doesn't happen at this point of the season, so close to the playoffs, but it happens. And we've been lucky. You look at some of the injuries. Look at Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, broken foot. That's a long injury. Matthew Stafford's done for the year. So many guys have gone down for long stretches. We're at risk of losing Jalen Hurts for 1 week, maybe 2. This is why you have Gardner. Like I said, I guarantee, I said it yesterday, I guarantee 2, 3, 4, 5 teams probably called Howie Roseman at the trade deadline. Said, I'll give you a 3rd or 4th round pick for Gardner Minshew. And he said no. Why? Because he knew that this exact situation could arise. You don't want Ian Book as your backup. Hell, Gardner Minshew's a free agent. There's a good chance that he goes somewhere else in the offseason because he wants a chance to start, which you want your backup to want a chance to start. Like I said yesterday, if you remember, last year after the Jets game, he marched into Nick Sirianni's office and said, I want to be the starter. See what I can do? Obviously, they were committed to seeing what Jalen Hurts had, and it was the right decision. There's still a lot of question marks last year on Jalen Hurts, but they wanted to play it out with Jalen Hurts last year. Right move. Gardner Minshew will be on another team probably next year. Unless the Eagles, I don't know how they're going to give Jalen Hurts the big money and then also sign big money to a backup. So which means that we need, Ian Book's not the answer as a backup quarterback. Don't be surprised if the Eagles draft a quarterback in the 3rd round next year in the draft. They're going to need another viable, cheap option that they can trust as a backup quarterback. So what's going to happen is they're probably going to draft somebody. Now, Jalen Hurts isn't soft as butter like Carson Wentz, where that'll affect him. He knows he's the guy. He's going to get a big bag. But it's important to have this in this NFL. And the Eagles know that. We got Cooper Rush last time. Give them Minshew. Get the dub and get ready. Yeah, absolutely. Look, I saw somebody say that on social media yesterday, he's not a blue check mark. I think he lost his blue check mark. Someone say that the difference between Gardner Minshew and Dak Prescott isn't much, that they're almost equal quarterbacks. Now, that's not the case. We got Gardner Minshew starting on Saturday. It's going to be a tough win, which I will say I got yesterday. The line was coming back down. The line was 1.5 Cowboys favorite, went up to like 6.5, started coming back down. I did lay a nice little bet on the Eagles money line at plus 180 yesterday. I bet you now there's a chance it Hurts starts. I bet you that comes back down a little bit to even. But damn straight, I was laying 20 or 30. I forget what I bet. $20 or $30 plus 180 on the Eagles money line because they could win the game with Gardner Minshew. But the people that are bashing the Cowboys and say the Cowboys stink and Dak Prescott stinks, come on, guys. Dak Prescott is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Now, he's not top 5 like Cowboys fans hoped he would be. Injuries, turnovers. He just doesn't have that extra X factor that Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes has. But he's still a damn good quarterback. And they're still a damn good team. There's a reason they got 10 wins. And are still, with us being 13-1, there is a path to the Cowboys winning the division. There is. That says how good the Cowboys are. So anybody thinking this, whether it's Minshew or Book or Hurts or wherever, thinking it'll be a pushover of a game on Saturday night, that they're being too homerish and biased. Cowboys are going to put up a fight. It's going to be a close game, and I still have no idea what I'll predict on Friday for this game. It's gonna come down to the wire. My prediction. It could go either way. But the drop. So here how to say this. Dak is obviously better than Gardner Minshew, and my man. I won't say his name. I won't call him out on social media or on the show. Not that he's probably watching, but my man saying that Dak and Minshew are pretty much neck and neck on level playing field is a little crazy there. But, and I don't want to make this sound like that the Eagles are, that Jalen Hurts is so good because of the system. But the drop off from Jalen Hurts to Gardner Minshew shouldn't be so drastic. Jalen Hurts is 10 times the quarterback that Gardner Minshew is. But he also is part of a great system with a great team. Without Hurts, Micah will be given the green light. They'll try to get him free. Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with this. They're not going to have to worry about Jalen Hurts escaping the pocket and running down the field for 20 yards. So you will get that. But this is where the offensive line. I've been critical of this offensive line this year. Most people think it's the best offensive line in football. I question it. I do. And I do say that Jalen Hurts makes this offensive line a little better than they actually are because of his escapability. Well, this is the week that they could prove me wrong. If they can keep Gardner Minshew upright, I think that helps. But also running the ball with Miles Sanders and Kenneth Gainwell help. If Boston Scott a little bit too, which I'm not sure why Boston Scott didn't touch the ball last week on the backfield. It was all Sanders, Hurts, and Gainwell. I think Boston Scott had like 1 or 2 touches on offense last week. This is the week that the offensive line can prove to me that Hurts hasn't been saving them week in and week out. For sure. So basically here, the first 30 minutes of the show, I ask a question. I asked it of myself and the listeners. And I think I know what the correct answer is. But I still can't convince myself it's the right thing to do. I really can't. I'm selfish, and I want to see Jalen Hurts lock it up. I really do. But I know it's not the smart move. Selfish fandom Phil wants to see Jalen Hurts give the sack of coal to the Cowboys fans. unbiased me says Gardner Minshew's the right decision to play. Now there is a scenario maybe that the Eagles have already made their decision. And they already know that they're going to go with Gardner Minshew or Jalen Hurts, one way or the other. And they're just playing this up so the Cowboys don't know who to game plan for, or that they have to double down and game plan for both. Maybe there's a part of it that's that. Little thing that makes me think that Gardner Minshew is already officially the starter. Obviously, these things can change. But ESPN Fantasy, the league, I've got him in multiple leagues, Jalen Hurts. But the only one I care about is the one I'm in the playoffs with. They've already got him listed as 0 projected points this week. And Gardner Minshew projected at 17 fantasy points this week in that league. So ESPN's already, basically, their fantasy site's already ruling him out. So to me, that tells me that there's a high likelihood that Gardner Minshew is starting. So maybe they're just playing this whole, maybe Jalen Hurts will play. Maybe they told Jalen Hurts to go and say some things in that press conference yesterday to kind of get the Cowboys thinking, shit, now we got a game plan for Hurts too. Maybe there is something to that. We're going to take a quick pause in the action here. Today's show is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of their 2 great locations, Fishtown and Old City, and book your appointment today. Holidays, got to get a fresh cut. Go check out Gents Barber Lounge. They rate #1 barbershop on Yelp in the Philadelphia area, able to handle any style of cut, adult or kid. Check out some of their great work right here. Gents Barber Lounge, Fishtown, Old City. Let's reset for a second here. Trending in the AM, right here on DSM Media. If you're watching Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you're at, make sure you're following, subscribing, liking on all platforms. If you want to get interactive with the show like Joe and Casey and others today, you got to do it on the Facebook or the YouTube page. Prefer the YouTube page to help us get to 700 subscribers, get that algorithm up there. But either of those 2 sites are the only 2 places that you can get interactive with the show. And I thrive on the interaction. I need your comments and your thoughts and your concerns about Jalen Hurts, about the Sixers, which are the conversations today. So I greatly appreciate that. Make sure you do that. I am Phil Stiefel, your host. I know Sixers are up next. Yes, I do have thoughts on Correa to the Mets. And I said if there's time, I will bring that up. I'll touch on it for a second here. First off, I want to know what was in the physical that caused the Giants to back out to an extent or have pause to give Correa a chance to change his mind. I want to do a show, whether it's tomorrow or next week. I want to spend some time on a show. Have the Phillies done enough? Because Correa to the Mets, now you got Correa and Lindor, shortstop, third base. The money they spent on pitching. The Mets are at $380 million, I believe the number is, in payroll. Almost $100 million over the top threshold, luxury tax threshold. They're going to pay over $100 million in luxury. They're going to spend between their salaries and the luxury tax $500 million. Now, that doesn't always equate to a title, but the Phillies have gone out and gotten Trey Turner and Taijuan Walker and Matt Strahm or whatever that lefty reliever is I never heard of before we signed him. Have the Phillies done enough? There's a good chance that the Phillies, even with Trey Turner and the moves they've made, are still the second or third best player. And this is a great comment. It is a bad comment. Do we realize that Carlos Correa, he's a 260 hitter? He averages like 80, 90 games a year for a big stretch of his career. So I'm not sure. He's still an uber talented guy, Carlos Correa. I don't think that's that. It's the question I want to have in a show is, have the Phillies done enough, though, to compete with the Mets? And the Braves, to an extent. The Braves are still a damn good baseball team. There's a chance, even with all that the Phillies did, what they win last year, 87 games, 88 games, that they still only win 90, 91 games this year and fall third place in the division. Still get a wild card. Now, and obviously with the Phillies, proved once you get to the playoffs, anything can happen. But there's a concern in me that they haven't done enough to compete with the Mets and the Braves. And that Carlos Correa deal, just another one. So we'll get into that later for sure. And Casey, I know you love your Sixers talk. Joe, give me your thoughts on this as well. Sixers tonight against the Detroit Pistons. I always love playing Detroit sports teams because my boy Jason Sullivan, who I do Fairway to Heaven with, which Fairway to Heaven, we were just talking yesterday. We'll be back January 2nd or 3rd with, yeah, that's exactly, Joe. Next move. The Phillies need to do something else, I still think. And we'll get into, I think we'll start tomorrow's show off with some Phillies conversation for sure. I love beating up on Detroit teams, whether it's the Lions or the Red Wings, which the Red Wings always beat up on the Flyers. But, the Pistons, because me and Jason are very close friends, and he lives up in Detroit. He's a big Detroit fan. We got the Detroit Pistons tonight. Game 6 on this 7-game homestand. We've won the first 5 games on this 7-game homestand. I joked about how awesome it would be if they went 6-1 or 7-0 on this homestand. And tonight, there's a great chance. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're double-digit favorites tonight. I got the Detroit Pistons box or stats up on the screen there. Sorry, my mouse just died, so I got to use the touch screen here, which makes it very difficult. We could win tonight. We should win. I think we're double-digit favorites tonight against the Pistons. Cade Cunningham out for the year. Tobias gets dealt. This is the question I want to have and the conversation I want to have before we talk about the game. So I've become friends with a bunch of different beat reporters across the board, and Barahini Esfandari, he covers the Raptors for The Score, and he works for a bunch of big sites. He's a big Raptors fan, lives in Toronto. He's a credentialed Raptors media member. Sent him a message yesterday, and we started texting back and forth. After getting to see the Sixers, personally, as, since he covers the Raptors and stuff and paying close attention, he sees the Sixers from a distance, but not up close. And I've always paid attention to the Raptors because they've got the one thing we don't have: excessive amount of athletic length players. So I'm like, Esfandari, what are your thoughts on the Sixers at this point after seeing that game, which I'm still not over that Sixers game? It should never have gone to overtime. It should never have been a close game. Raptors were losing. They had 5 in a row losses, 7 of 8, something like that. Back-to-back games, 3 games in 4 days. It shouldn't have been a close game. But yet it was. And I'm asking them, I'm like, after seeing the Sixers up close, what should the Sixers do? Should the Sixers make a big trade? Should the Sixers fire Doc Rivers? Should they do nothing? And the first thing he said to me was, and I quote, yes, they should get rid of Doc Rivers, but they're probably not. He sees it, that the only problem, or the biggest problem on this Sixers team is Doc Rivers. He mentioned, the straight called out the last 5 seconds, not knowing what to do with the last 5 seconds of regulation against the Raptors. He said Doc Rivers is the problem. But he said also, is there anybody better? And he mentioned Sam Cassell, not me. And we all want Sam Cassell to be the coach of this team going forward. We don't know if Sam Cassell is any better than Doc Rivers. We hope he is. We assume he's not any worse. Do they even have a closer? It's got to be Joel Embiid. But you got to get him the ball in the right place. You can't give the Joel Embiid the ball 5 feet behind the three-point line. You got to look at Doc's game plan to allow the Raptors to come back. They just pull 3 after 3, miss them, and allow. Well, yeah. Also, putting 5 bench guys on the floor at the same time. That stretch at the end of the third, beginning of the fourth quarter, where they went 5 bench guys, and the Raptors closed the lead massively. Doc's the common denominator problem. We don't know if Sam Cassell would fix it. We assume it won't get any worse. And that's why we want that. But we got to be honest with ourselves, KC, Joe. We got to be honest that Doc's not going anywhere. And I've said it before. As long as like a 10-12 game losing streak just doesn't happen, or we don't lose like 15 to 18 games or something like that, there's no way Doc is going anywhere. He is here for the rest of the season. And this is what I want to get at. So, first off, I do think now's the time to trade Tobias if you're going to trade him. I'm not saying they should, and everybody knows I'm a big Tobias fan. They shouldn't trade him probably, but he is peak maxing out volume-wise. I mean, he's playing better than he ever has. his highest three-point percentage of his career. Hell, in the last 10 games, I think he's almost at 55% from deep. And that was with 2 or 3 games ago. He shot like 2 of 7, 2 of 8, and he's still at 55% over his last 10 games. But the contract's not bad anymore, Joe. He's got a year and a half left on his deal. And 35, 36 million, whatever it is, next year, max deals now are $55 million, $50 million. So now at the end of this contract, it's much more acceptable, and it's only 1.5 years. So the contract's not as much of an albatross as people think it is now. But my man Esfandari, he said, you got Tobias Harris, you got Matisse Thybulle. The Sixers should not trade Tyrese Maxey. They should, and everybody knows that. That is your only tradable asset that other teams would really truly want. A team that's going to blow it up, the Raptors, the Bulls, who else out there? Some of these teams that are underperforming, they're going to want Tyrese Maxey as part of any deal with Tobias Harris or Matisse Thybulle. And you shouldn't move him. He's the future of this team. So I said it yesterday. I did it again yesterday as I was talking through message to Esfandari. I went through the NBA trade machine, and I tried to find partners. I went to the Bulls, and I looked at, getting, I don't even remember, was it DeRozan and Caruso for Tobias Harris? And it's accepted. Value-wise, price-wise, it works. Does that make you better? No. The Bulls really want Tobias Harris and give up DeRozan? No, I mean, they have a little issue there with DeRozan and Levine in their locker room. Does that really make the Sixers better? No. I went through literally 10, 12 teams, looked at their rosters, looked at contracts that have to be balanced out. The Sixers are pretty hard capped right now. So they need to, if they get rid of $36 million, they can't bring in 40. They have to match salary for salary to a penny. These guys that you could bring in, it's not going to make the team any better. Marginally at best. So my thought process now is, if you're not going to fire Doc Rivers, if there is no trade that can be made, the Sixers just got to play it out. And you got to get Tyrese Maxey healthy. You got to give them time to gel some more. I feel like we've been talking about players gelling together for a decade now with the Sixers. But that's the case. I mean, Harden, Maxey, Harris at the level he's playing, the confident level, and Joel Embiid, those four should be able to overcome the bad coaching of Doc Rivers. They're talented enough, individually talented players. They should be able to figure it out, at least enough. They're in the 5 seat right now in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to bring up the standings here. Give me a second. I'm pretty sure they're still in the 5 seat. Let's see here. Yeah, they're in the 5 seat. They're a game behind the Nets for the 4 seat, 2.5 behind Cleveland. They're only 4.5 out of the Bucks in the 1 seat. But they've already created a 3.5 game cushion over the 8-9 seat. The Heat aren't playing great basketball. Pacers are falling back down to earth. Obviously, the Raptors stink now. The Bulls, terrible. So you're really looking at 1 through 7, 1 through 8. You're looking through the Bucks through the Hawks in the Eastern Conference at this point. And the Knicks are playing great, and we get them on Christmas. I'm going to reach out to a Knicks reporter and see if we can get him on the show tomorrow as well. The Eastern Conference is kind of still wide open. There is still a chance that the Sixers are good enough with what they have, and the other teams around them aren't that good, really, that they can make a run. If you get healthy and you get some continuity. Look, they've won 6. They're about to win. I almost said they are. I'm knocking on wood here. They're about to win 6 in a row. That's good. And the rest of their schedule through the rest of this year, this calendar year, isn't that hard. There's a scenario where they go 8-2, 9-3 stretch. That puts them right back in the conversation. Are the Bucks really that good? The Celtics have lost a bunch of winnable games lately. I believe the Orlando Magic have have beaten the Bucks or the Celtics twice this past couple weeks. Which, on a side note, Markelle Fultz is playing since he's come back this year. He's played like 10 or 12 games. He's shooting over 40% from deep, averaging 15 points. His last game, he put up like 25, 9, and 6. Felt like I was watching his Washington highlights again. Kid might finally have it together and be healthy. I'd love to see it. I was always a Markelle Fultz fan. I really was. Levine and Derek Jones for Tobias. But see, that's the thing. See, I don't want to bench Tyrese Maxey. I don't know if I like that move. And Zach LaVine, does he really make you that much better? Makes your bench better with Maxey on the bench. It really does, but and you're putting Matisse in the starting lineup. Look, we know Doc Rivers can't make up his mind with Matisse Thybulle. Plays 7 minutes one game, 30 the next, 6 the next. DMP coach's decision the next, then 30 again. So I don't know if he would ever do that. We don't need more ISO shooting. We don't need ISO play at all. That's all they do. One person gets the ball and everyone just stands there. We need more cutting, more moving around, more athleticism. Levine's been banged up. Levine's not the athlete that he used to be either. We need guys that are going to cut to the basket, grab rebounds, fight hard on defense. We need guys like Patrick Siakam and 90% of the Raptors defense or team. That's what the Sixers team needs, in my opinion. We don't need another ball-hogging ISO shooter that's going to disrupt the flow. And Levine's kind of a star. I don't think he ever got to the star level that I don't know if he ever got to the star level that people had hyped for him, but he's still a star. And we already are having trouble getting some continuity and some consistency with this rotation we've got. Bringing in Zach LaVine is going to cause more of the same problems. That's why I'm saying maybe making no trade is the right thing to do. Maybe making no trade, you just give these guys the whole year to figure it out. And then if they don't figure it out and we're another second-round exit, then you know in the offseason, Doc's got to go. And then you tinker again. We do need to improve the bench. So if you're not gonna trade Tobias and bring in another big contract star, sort of star player, the bench does need more help for sure. Daniel House, guys, I said it before, he's not it. Harold Bebo, you might even need another backup center. Harold sometimes plays well. The fact that they just can't, I really want Doc just to pick one center to play, and that's it, so you get some consistency. You don't have Shake Milton on your bench here. Shake out of the rotation now? Are you in the group that says now Shake's? I kind of feel like Shake's earned at least some minutes on a regular basis. That's the thing. Like, there's no consistency here with the Sixers team. So that's why I'm just saying maybe you trade Matisse or maybe you trade Furkan or Shake and improve that bench. Maybe you find a way to get rid of Daniel House. Improve that bench a little bit. I don't know how you'll do it, but maybe that's what you do. I don't know with our hard cap situation how we'll be able to handle the buyout market, and the Sixers are always very active in the buyout market. I don't know what kind of exemptions they got left, but they're going to need to improve the bench for sure. I saw somebody, let me see if I can pull it back up here. I saw somebody put something out there. I'll ask you, Casey, because I know you're big with this trading here, that maybe there's a way to get Sadiq Bey from Detroit. Sadiq Bey would be fantastic on this team. Young guy. I would be thrilled with that. Tobias, Milton, and Furker, who I'm shopping. Now, Tobias, I think his value is at its peak right now. There's no doubt about it. If you're going to trade him, now is the time to do it. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't know if I do it, but now is the time to do it. We're gonna reverse this. We're gonna go Furkan Korkmaz next. Furkan Korkmaz really does not have any trade value. He's okay. You might be able to get a bench guy or an expiring 1-year contract that matches, but Furkan's making $5 million a year, so you're not really getting anybody special. But maybe a bad team takes Furkan just to add a little spark to their team, a little offense, a little excitement, whatever. Shake Milton, like Tobias, is at peak value right now as well. First off, Shake's not as young as we think he is. I think he's 26 years old already. He's actually been in the league for quite a bit now. He's not even on his rookie deal anymore. But you might be able to find somebody that has seen the little bit of an improvement that consistent playing time has gotten Shake Milton over the last couple of weeks with Maxey being out and Harden being out when he was out. You might find somebody that's willing to give Shake Milton a chance to run their team down the stretch here because they're out of it and whatnot. There is a chance there. But Milton and Furk aren't really going to make differences. Tobias might make a difference in what he brings back. But honestly, is it enough? I don't know. I really wanted Doc to be gone by this point. I really did. Because then we could be figuring out whether Harden and Embiid... See, all this is just dancing around. Can Harden and Embiid work together? Are they a pair that can work out together? And as long as Doc's here, then next year we're going to have to run it back again with them two with a new coach. But again, I really keep trying to think, is the Eastern Conference that unwinnable at this point? And I don't care about the number one seed regular season record-wise. Yeah, I'd like them to be a top 4 seed so they have at least a first-round home playoff series. But are the teams really that scary? The only thing that scares me is, I mean, you mentioned bringing in Levine and more ISO. This team will falter in the playoffs because of the lack of athleticism on it and too much ISO ball, which in the playoffs is a little different. The game slows down a little bit maybe, and ISO ball might be more acceptable. I just don't know. But we should be positive at least right now. They've won 5 games in a row. They should win tonight to get to 6. There's a scenario where, let me pull the Sixers schedule back up here. Let me pull up the Sixers in general here. The Sixers schedule. Here we go. They got Detroit. They got the Clippers on Friday night. That'll be a tough game. Obviously, I haven't really looked at the Clippers. I don't know what's going on in Clipper land right now, honestly. Then you got the Knicks on Christmas Day. Washington, who's terrible, on the 27th. Then obviously you got back-to-back New Orleans and Oklahoma City to close out the year. Another tough stretch right there. 30th, 31st, 2nd. 3 games in 4 days right around the New Year's holiday. That's going to be a tough stretch there for the Sixers. We got Casey saying that you can get Bay for Burks, who is, on the bench there for Detroit and still shooting over 40% from deep. For T. Springer picks, well, we only have, I think I read somewhere, I didn't quote this as a guarantee. I don't know. We only have the next first round pick we could trade is 2029 first round pick. I don't know. That's digging deep into the bag right there. T. Springer and Furk, I don't know if that gets it done. Because really sticky speaking, Detroit's going for Springer, the young guy under control. Matisse is under last year of his deal. So there's no guarantee he stays in Detroit. Maybe he gets more consistent minutes in Detroit. I don't know. And Furk. I mean, they did lose Cade Cunningham, their starting point guard. Maybe they would take Shake Milton to run some point for them. I don't know. I would be extreme if this deal just right here on the floor here. If you got Sadiq Bey, who's still got 2 years, this year and next year under control, and Burks to improve our bench. We've already had Alec Burks on this team before. Probably should never have let him go when he was a free agent. We probably should have brought him back. Was that 2 years ago? And all you're giving up Matisse and Springer and whatever else, filler. Man, I'd be game. I'd be game. And I honestly think that's the Sadiq Bey of athleticism is what we need. And then the Burks off the bench shooting ability. That would bump Daniel House back down a little bit further. I'm going to write that up today. I'm going to write up what a Bey and Burks deal would look like. And pay attention to this Detroit team tonight. Look, they're no slouch. They're bad, but they got some guys that can shoot. And they got some good young athletic players on their team. Watch it, because Sadiq Bey is a guy that they might be ready to move on from already. I'd be game for it. I'm going to write it up and see how it looks, and then see what the Sixers bench looks like and how this team looks. You bring in Sadiq Bey, you probably got to start him. So you go Harden, Maxey, Sadiq Bey. You move PJ Tucker to the bench and start Matisse and EMbiid. And then you have on your bench PJ Tucker, DeAnthony Melton, Alec Burke, then your backup center. I don't know. Shake Milton as your 10th guy off the bench. Daniel House as your 11th. I don't know. You're better. But does it really make us that much better? I don't know. I have to figure that one out. I'm gonna really pay close attention to tonight's game and see. That was the thing when I was watching the Raptors game. I was paying close attention because I feel like the Raptors, in theory, would make a good trade partner for the Sixers. They got a lot of athletic wings. They're missing leadership, and they're missing a point guard. So I was trying to figure out a way to get maybe Shake and Matisse, or Shake and Tobias to them and get one of their wings. I just couldn't find the right pairing that would work. So, that but I was paying close attention to that game, and there's just so many good, talented wings. Why they're so bad record-wise, I have no idea. They've had a lot of injuries this year, the Raptors. So that might be part of it. A lot of guys, a lot of moving parts have missed pieces this year, or missed games this year. So Detroit, they're building around Hayes. They're building around Cade Cunningham. Sadiq Bey might be an option. Alec Burke's going to get traded. Might as well be here. I'm going to work on that. I think you're on to something, Casey, with the Burke and Bey package. Now, I don't know what kind of value Springer has, honestly, but he's a young guy, so maybe there's some value there. But the Sixers should win tonight, guys. They should get to 6 wins in a row. They should continue this strong stretch, building confidence, because like I said, end of the year, there's a tough little stretch there, 3 games in 4 days around the New Year's. It's going to be tough. Build up that confidence now. Let's see what we got. And let's get the W tonight. And I believe the Sixers will win tonight. I think they were embarrassed by the way they played against the Raptors. And I think that this game, they match up better, obviously. I can see Matisse playing a little bit more tonight because you're going to need the guys that can guard the perimeter against their sharpshooters. And they got a lot of guys that shoot the ball. I couldn't believe when I looked at their stats today. The white dude from Utah from last year, averaging 20-plus points a game for them. Shooting 45% from deep. Got to get somebody that can get out there and keep a hand in his face. Obviously. Don't need him going off. Don't need Burks. Alec Burks always loves to go off against the Sixers because we didn't retain him. So, it's no cakewalk just because they're a bad Detroit team. You look at Orlando beating Boston twice. These teams want to beat the good teams. So it's no cakewalk tonight. But they should win. They should take care of their business and get another W tonight. Hopefully a little easier. Hopefully I don't have to watch an overtime game tonight. That's the goal. Can we not let it get to overtime tonight? I will be positive tomorrow morning if they don't go to overtime. We're going to wrap this up, though, here. Tomorrow on Trending the AM, we are going to talk more Sixers. Obviously, based off of what happens tonight, I'm going to do more research on this Detroit potential trade partner today and see what I come up with. We're going to talk Phillies a little bit more. We're going to dive back into, as Joe, in case you want to know about the Mets and the Carlos Correa deal. I want to read more into this contract, see what's going on there in New York, and it's have the Phillies done enough. That's what I want to talk about. 8:30 a.m. here tomorrow, Trending in the AM. Everybody have a great day. Again, like I always say, like, share, comment, subscribe. All social media platforms. I greatly appreciate that. Y'all have a great day. And again, happy birthday to my brother-in-law. Patrick Slazak, happy birthday, brother. Weird in my family, the Stifle family and Slazak family. My birthday last Wednesday. Exactly 7 days later, my brother-in-law's birthday. Exactly 7 days later, my father-in-law's birthday. And then January 4th, exactly 7 days later, my sister's birthday. 4 birthdays, 2 families, exactly 7 days apart each. It's really weird. So everybody have a great day. We're getting closer to Christmas, guys. So everybody have a great holiday. Happy Hanukkah, et cetera, to everybody out there. You'll have a great day. See you tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m.
And Philadelphia has it.